Welcome, everybody, to the Horror Movie Podcast. I am your co-host, Luke.
And I am co-host Anna.
And today we are talking about Suspiria.
Yay!
I'm
and
so excited.
Not so yay.
Yeah, so we're talking about the original 1977 one and the 2018 Amazon remake.
Oh, yeah, it is an Amazon original, isn't it?
Yeah, and I'm very excited to talk about these movies.
Yeah, me too.
I haven't really been watching anything else recently.
Yeah, me neither.
So I think we'll just get right into it today.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
So Suspiria, 1977.
Yeah.
The first time we both watched this was October of last year, right?
Because we were watching it for the 31
we were doing
and 31.
The 31 and 31.
Yeah.
And I had never seen this movie, but it is widely regarded as one of the best horror movies ever made. It's always in the conversation. It's very often in people's favorites list.
Yeah.
So I was really excited to watch it, and it did not let down.
No, literally not at all.
It was so good.
So good.
The music in this movie might honestly be the best part. The music in this movie is phenomenal.
It's so good.
The classic Suspiria theme, I think, is a little bit of
what?
A letdown, a crime. I don't know what's the word for this.
I don't
know the word I'm looking for. I think it is a huge bummer that this music is not as iconic as the Halloween theme,
I see. I thought you were saying that the music is
the
music itself is a letdown.
That's the word.
Okay,
it's a
I see
disservice
what you mean.
to the movie.
Yes,
that the theme song isn't as recognizable as Halloween.
Yeah,
which I get it. I mean, Halloween is the very
right.
It's very much
and it's like a meme right now kind of and everything.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But you play a Halloween theme for basically anyone, and they're gonna know.
Yeah.
But the music in Suspiria is amazing.
I completely agree.
It's also a beautiful movie.
It is.
Which is such a strange thing to say about a horror movie. Yeah, right. Yeah. It's like I there's so few horror movies you can say it about. But honestly, I think this is the prettiest horror movie I've seen.
Yeah, definitely.
Hands down. The lighting that they use in this movie through stained glass and just different times, it's very vibrant. I mean, it's as vibrant as the red light over here. There's red and blue and green at one point. I think we even get some yellow.
Yeah, we do.
And I believe it's coming from stained glass.
It is.
Right?
Well, it's stained glass, and I think it's also just some of them doing their own lighting, because there's some shots where you see the stained glass and you see it coming through, but there's other shots where it's you don't see any stained glass, and they're in a hallway, and it's
so I don't. I mean, great choice though.
Yes, absolutely.
The cinematography is amazing.
Yeah.
The acting is amazing.
Yeah.
I mean the acting is mostly amazing.
Right, yes.
There's definitely some
I was gonna say.
The couple flaws in it are some of the acting and some of the script writing is a little.
But it was in 1977. Yeah, exactly.
Sure.
I was gonna say it was the 70s.
Yeah. And then of course some of the visual effects.
What?
But I think you can only fault that so much.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's bothering me a lot less than it used to, especially as I've started to watch a lot more old movies. Yeah. But the blood in this movie is just red paint.
Yeah, it is.
And it's not dark red. It is bright red. It
is so bad.
Brighter than your sweater.
Yeah, it is so bad.
It is so bright.
It looks like, it reminds me of Infinity Pool.
Yeah.
Isn't it? It's very similar.
Really which is very strange because it's really bad.
So far apart, the years.
That movie was made in 2022.
Yeah. No. Was it?
Well, it
yes.
Year,
it made in 2022.
The visual effects were probably being done last year.
Sure. Yes, you're right.
Well, I guess I don't know. Regardless, it's
the last few years,
and it should not be as bad as the movie from 77.
Should not.
But it is.
Yes.
Yeah. This the main character, Susie Bannon. I think I'm saying that right.
Banyan, I think,
is a American who is coming to Britain or England.
Germany.
It's Germany. My bad. Britain, Germany. I mean, they're closest.
Same. Yeah.
Classic American geography.
So true.
I know where the United States is.
So does every other
I'm
American.
Pretty good at geography.
Are you?
Yeah, I am.
I'm not.
Have you ever seen those videos? I think Jimmy Kimmel does them where they go around Hollywood Boulevard and they're
oh, yes,
can you point to this country on the map? And I'm usually 2 or 3 countries away. Like if not like, hey, I mean, some of these people are like, where's Korea? And they're pointing like South Africa. Yeah, I'm general vicinity.
Yeah,
like
I see what you're saying.
I have a good state specifically. I used to do those like state quizzes.
At school.
No, for fun.
Are you serious?
Yeah, because I did. Like, we were doing them at school, and I like puzzles, and it kind of feels like a puzzle. So.
Oh my gosh.
And then every now and then I'll talk about it with somebody, and then I'll be like, "Let's see who can do more."
Oh,
and then
that's
I'll just, like,
so
competition.
funny. That's so
can you place
funny.
more states, or can I?
Oh my gosh. I can't believe I didn't know that fact until now.
But anyways,
yes.
Germany.
Yeah.
A U.S. student is going to a ballet.
Is she really American?
Yeah.
I don't know why I thought she wasn't.
I don't know either. She has an American accent.
Wow. Something's up in my brain.
But she's going to a ballet school.
Mm-hmm.
This seems like a college, probably? Or is it... They're all older.
I mean, it's not a college, but it's a dance school.
Right. It seems,
it's a school of
seems
dance.
like a dance school for...
a college-age people.
For college age.
It's probably teenagers and adults. That's typically how those schools work. Yeah.
Sense. But and she quickly finds out stuff at this school is weird.
Yeah. I mean, the first night she shows up.
Yeah, and they won't let her in.
Yeah.
There's a girl who like runs out of the school and quickly shuts the door behind her.
She's like crying and
she's crying and yelling.
I'm never coming back. You know.
The movie starts with just a storm. It's pouring rain, like so hard that their characters are soaked from being in it for just a few seconds. And so she's trying to get in the school. They won't let her in, and she goes back to her cab and I think goes to just like a hotel for the night or something.
Yeah, she does. She goes. Yeah. I think she. There's I thought it was a hotel too, but she goes and visits someone, like someone that. Do you know what I'm talking about? There's like someone there. So is it an apartment or a hotel?
Yeah, I think it because isn't it the same person that she lives with for like the first like 20 minutes of the movie?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I guess she has her contact information.
Right.
Probably
for sure.
because she was gonna be living
right.
with her.
Yes.
So she has her address, so she goes there. And then she gets to the school, and you know, one of the actually really impressive things about this movie is that the movie is dubbed because this is an Italian movie.
Right.
And it is a really impressive dub.
It is, isn't it?
It's pretty obvious at a couple points.
Yeah.
But I knew those lines were dubbed, but I didn't realize the whole movie was dubbed.
Yeah.
But it's an Italian movie. So and this was really common in the 70s for Italian films. Or probably just foreign films in general. But so this I don't know if the English speaking is dubbed.
I have no idea.
I don't know if Susie's character is dubbed because she's American, so I don't know. I'm not sure. But a lot of the characters are dubbed. There's one specific scene where she's talking to like the professor that is really obvious.
Yes, I remember that.
But usually I can't stand dubs.
Yeah.
Like I would rather read subtitles than watch a dubbed movie. But this one is actually very, very well done.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, so she's at the school. Stuff starts to get weird. And she's just slowly investigating, and people start disappearing, and weird things are happening to her. And then, I mean, it's from the 70s. I feel like I don't want to spoil like any major thing, but it seems like there's possibly something supernatural going on.
Right. Yeah, and it's the way that the deaths are happening that happen in this movie, and you know everything, and like even as an audience member or a viewer of the movie, you're kind of sitting there trying to figure it out, and you're like, what is this?
Because it definitely keeps you guessing,
right? And there's a part at the beginning where it's like it looks like there's like a demon entity or like a vampire or something. Remember?
For a good portion of this movie, I
thought it was vampires.
It might be vampires.
Yeah.
And then there's one lingering shot on a full moon, and I'm like, werewolves?
Yeah.
I don't like.
Right.
Really?
Yeah. Exactly.
And I mean, the movie just keeps you guessing throughout.
It does.
And comes to a really great ending.
Yeah.
Which just ties the movie into like a perfect bow. Like
Absolutely.
The ending is so well done and so well resolved. You know, one of the things I really like about this movie is it just assumes that you don't need to know anything.
Right.
It just like drops you in. She's going to a dance school and we're just into it. You know?
For sure.
It's not explaining where this dance school came from. It's not explaining really what her background is. Like you get a little bit of dialogue with that, but like we don't get a backstory for every character, which is very different in the 2018 movie.
For sure.
So this movie is only 99 minutes. So it's pretty short. It's just over an hour and a half. But that's one of the things I like about it. I feel like, especially with newer movies, one of the big mishaps or pitfalls a lot of movies fall into is over-explaining things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like sometimes I don't need to know everything.
Yeah.
Like you just need to take me along for the ride and I'll go. Like there are some things that I really want to dive into and I want to know the lore, but that's franchises.
Right,
you know, like
exactly.
Marvel and Star Wars and Star Trek, and like these are things that we have way more time with, though. You know, like there's like 27 Marvel movies or something like that at this point, plus TV shows. It's like they have plenty of time to explain backstories and go into deep dives into lore and things. Same with other major franchises, but with these like one-off movies where they just want to make a movie and they just want to make it about the thing, like just make it.
Do it, yeah.
I mean, funny enough, I bring up Star Wars, but that's kind of what they did in the first Star Wars movie. They just like you're just in Star Wars, you know, like they're just naming planets and they're not explaining things about them. Yeah. It's just, and then it's not till the later movies that they really start to like explain things, and that's actually one of the things that the fans complain the most about. Like when they try to explain the Force in Episode 1, people like throw a huge fit about it.
Yeah.
You know? So I think that is a much more common thing.
Yeah.
And this movie doesn't do that at all. And I think it benefits the movie a lot. And we'll talk about the other one in a second, but I feel like that's one of the things for me that really took away from it.
Yeah, definitely. I completely agree that there is no necessary background for this movie. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just, like you were saying, it would not have added a single thing to the movie. It wouldn't have made me more invested in the characters. Like, with this movie, the characters are what they are. Like, you know immediately. Right. The main character is, like, sweet and kind of innocent. The first roommate is, like, super out there and like just kind of out of her mind, and then the one that she ends up moving in with is like kind of a weirdo and like a skeptic and stuff, and it's like immediately you know how all of them are, but it's not in a way that's like too in your face or too cringy. It's like just the way they worded everything kind of makes it language that each character uses is so specific, and I think that's probably because it's an Italian movie and Italian people have such like a specific and intricate language, you know, so it's
sure.
I don't know, that's just what my perception of it is. But yeah, I just think that it's very obvious what each character's intention is throughout every single point of the movie.
Totally, except for what they don't want you to know,
yes,
right?
Exactly.
You know, like, but like I did not figure out a thing about this movie.
No,
you know? Like, and that's very impressive.
Yeah.
I mean, you and I both generally will. I mean, we might not figure it out till closest to the end, but usually right before the third act of a movie, we can be like, okay, this is what's going on.
Yeah.
And generally speaking, both of us are right more often than we're wrong. Well, I mean, you kind of guess every possible outcome and then figure it out. But I mean, sometimes you're pretty good at figuring out.
That's
early,
right.
But
I have been recently. I haven't done that at all recently. With the movies we've been watching, I've guessed it immediately.
I've been trying to do it less recently.
Yeah.
Just like, I don't know. Sometimes I don't want to know. Often it's disappointing for me if I figure it out. Especially if I figure it out really, really early. And if I figure it out like 20 minutes into the movie, that just bums me out because I'm not the best storyteller in the world. And if I know where you're going with it, you're probably not either.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I'm didn't know anything about this movie.
No, absolutely.
It's like no idea
has you looking in every direction, and when you finally find out what it is, you're like, oh, like that makes sense. Why didn't I? Because it's like the thing that,
but it's also like
all
why
these
would I
things
think that,
are a part of.
Like,
you know,
why would I go to that?
Right? Yeah, exactly.
Things, which I think just makes it phenomenal.
Yeah.
And then at one point, once the main character figures it out, and she's trying to get out of the school, that whole sequence is really impressive.
Yeah.
Just how she discovers it, how she pieces it together, and then what she does to get out.
Oh my gosh, yeah,
is just great.
I love her. She is a great character in my opinion.
Oh, absolutely.
She's so impressive.
Yeah, I think her character is I think her character is really smart, which is one of the things that people complain about with horror movies all the time is you never get smart characters. Yeah. The decisions she makes are solid, you know, and then how she starts to unravel this mystery is super interesting. Yeah. You know, it's definitely this is a movie that I will rewatch fairly regularly.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, the only thing that she did that really bothered me was when she got sick and they started giving her that food and stuff, and she kept they were obviously giving her something in the food, that was causing her to be asleep. Yeah, that made me so upset that she didn't realize.
And she does eventually figure that out. But at the same time, you're at one of the biggest ballet schools in the world, you should be able to trust the food that you're getting, So.
It's just as a viewer, you're sitting there and you're like,
Stop eating that. That is definitely one of the things that's it's pretty obvious. Because I watched this with Liz, and she was even like, "Oh, there's something in that food."
Yeah. When they brought her the food, the very first time they brought her the food, we were watching it, and I was like, "There's something wrong with that food."
Yeah.
And I didn't know what it was, but I ended up being right. But I also wanted to touch on the deaths in this movie. I thought all the deaths were really good.
Yeah, so did I. I mean, there is one kind of strange one when the girl ends up in the razor wire. Oh, I was just thinking that's a good one.
I
think it is, but it's a little why is there just a room filled with razor wire?
Because they wanted to trap people in there. That's literally the reason. The whole place was like a booby trap, She went through all these different rooms that caused her harm in some way, and that is
definitely one of the most terrifying.
Yeah.
And was also one of the most avoidable.
It was, so avoidable, but so scary.
Hey, look before you leap.
That's so true.
Hot take. You should probably look where you're going.
Well, and it's the skeptical one, and she's like, I'm going to go explore. I'm going to find something bad. And then she found something bad, and she's like, what? Why am I finding something bad right now?
Awful way to go.
I know. That's literally,
would be so terrifying.
Hey, you know the Taylor Swift song, Death by a Thousand Cuts?
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. Death by a Thousand Cuts.
Do we need to cut it and play Taylor Swift to that song?
Yes, we do. Obviously.
I don't think we need to.
What? But we do. That's a brilliant idea. They should have added it into the movie.
No,
Imagine she's just dying and she's wailing in pain in the background. It's Death by a Thousand Cuts. Oh, that's a good idea.
That's horrible.
Okay. Horrible schmorrible. You do you, I'll do me. Okay. I think it's funny.
Suspiria, 1977. Any more thoughts?
No. Good movie. 5 stars.
Oh, yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah, same. 5 out of 5. It is. I eventually am going to get around to doing a top 10 favorite horror movies of all time. Mm-hmm. It is going to be really difficult to not put this in the top 3.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which I'm not necessarily looking for a reason to not, because I love this movie.
Yeah.
But, now they decided to do a remake.
Yes.
2018. And this movie is super different. And you were not into this movie.
First of all, let's mention a whole hour was added.
Yeah, it's just over 2.5 hours long.
A whole hour,
which kind of like we were talking about earlier. So the first one doesn't give you any information.
Yeah.
This one overloads you. I didn't no, now in Suspiria 2018's defense, I was very tired when I watched this movie.
Yeah.
So there's probably some things that I missed.
When did you watch it?
Like what time?
What day?
Like, well, I watched like 2 hours on Wednesday, and then I watched like the rest of it last night.
Okay. I figured that's what it was.
Yeah.
I was just curious how recently you'd seen it, or if you watched it like a few weeks ago.
But it was super late, and that's why I had to stop, because I was like, I'm not gonna remember anything. I feel like I had kind of a good stopping point. I stopped right after the big dance, which I felt like was a pretty decent stopping point. Yeah. But yeah, this movie just gives you so much information. So they also, the main character in this movie is still Susie Bannon, but it doesn't start that way. It starts with a therapist who actually plays kind of a big role in this movie.
Yeah. Which, I mean, if we talk about, we didn't even mention this, in the 1977 version, she does go to a psychologist or a therapist of some kind, and to talk about, witchcraft and stuff, because the friend is like...
So the girl that, in the first movie, when she gets there, the girl who's leaving...
Yeah.
Or, sorry, not her. Her roommate had seen a psychologist, and that's how she finds out about him. Yeah. Because she's looking for her.
Yeah.
So, and she reaches out to the psychologist, and they're trying to figure out where, because the psychologist and her became friends after he stopped seeing her. That's right. And she mentioned that he was a good friend. So I think they kind of took that idea and ran with it.
Yeah.
So that, like, the movie starts with a character going to a psychologist, and actually Tilda Swinton plays the psychologist. Oh, okay. She is the
Wait, what?
She plays Madame Blanc. She plays like the instructor, and she also plays the psychologist.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah, I know. Like that, which when I found that out, I was actually way more impressed.
Do you want to know something though? I remember distinctly at one point him talking, and I was like, his voice sounds so strange and so familiar to me, but I can't figure out why. And I just was like, okay, whatever, just like, it's in my head, but after that point, every time he talked, I was like, what is with his voice,
Right. So
that makes sense.
But I mean, regardless, like,
that was incredible.
Still super impressive.
Yeah, so impressive.
But yeah, I don't know. I like this movie. So okay, back to the like walkthrough of this movie.
Yes.
So it starts out in the therapist's office, and one of the dance students who like started to figure out what was going on had run away or had been seeing him for a while.
In parallel to the first one.
Yeah, kind of. They almost took the character that ran away at the beginning and the friend that goes missing and kind of put her into one, because the friend was the one who was seeing the therapist.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Because the first girl runs away and just gets murdered.
Sure, yeah.
But then so they kind of like forged these two characters together.
Okay.
But then she doesn't come up again.
Yeah.
Like, she's really just in the opening.
That's not true. She does come up again.
When?
She is all mummified later.
Oh, okay. Yeah. But like, she doesn't really have a big role to play in the movie.
Right.
But the therapist does. And this is one of my biggest gripes about the movie. I did not care. At all.
Yeah.
Every time we went back to a scene with him,
him.
Like,
yeah, because it's a male character.
Right. Anytime we went back to a scene with him, I was like, I don't care about this.
Yeah.
At all.
Literally same.
Like,
that's how. Okay, I'm sorry. That's how I felt about most of the movie.
Yeah. Honestly, kind of same.
Yeah.
Like, I can respect the movie for what it is, but this is a really good example of remakes are not worth your time.
Yeah.
Like, why was this movie called Suspiria? Like, well, it was called Suspiria because they got the rights to it, you know, and obviously you get the rights to a big movie title, and that's going to bring more people in. Yeah. But it didn't. This movie cost $20 million to make, and it made $7 million at the box office.
Oh my gosh!
So like, it kind of bombed. But where was I? Oh, remakes. That's where I was going.
Yeah.
Completely lost my train of thought. Like it's a complete retelling of the original. Susie Bannon is the main character, but she is very different.
Yes.
She's a very different character. This movie focuses a lot more on the dancing.
Yeah.
Which I was okay with.
Yeah, I liked it too.
Like, it was impressive.
Yeah, and it was unsettling dancing too, which I think was good because I was like very interested to see what they did with that now with horror being the way that it is.
Right.
And, you know, because
they asked, I know Mia Goth plays one of the dancers. I forget who Dakota Johnson.
Yeah,
How
Dakota
did I forget
Johnson.
that?
Yeah.
They were talking about the routine. They had to they were 6 to 8 hours a day.
Yeah.
Like 7 days a week learning to dance for 2 months straight.
Yeah.
Paid off. It's very impressive.
Yeah.
But like they explained so much about this, and it's the big twist in the first one. I guess they just were like, well, everyone knows
it, yeah. So it's just going to be obvious the whole time. It's just going
to be super obvious.
It was so obvious the whole time.
They bring it up.
They literally
talk about it within like the first half hour of the movie.
Oh my gosh! You know what I really didn't like about this movie? Those like almost cutscene-y parts where they would just go to the staff being really weird and like giggling, and I just like what was
I don't know.
that?
It was just like it was. I don't think it's a bad movie. It's just not really for me.
Yeah, and they tried to add stuff to it. That's the thing is like, we're going to make a remake, but we're going to make it better than the original.
Yeah,
and it's like...
I don't know. So the actor and Tilda Swinton, both of... or not that actor, the director and Tilda Swinton are both like huge fans of the original. And apparently they had been talking about making this movie for like 20 years before it happened. So I don't necessarily think it was them coming from a place of like, we're going to make it better.
Oh, no,
I think it was more of them realizing they can't make it better. So how do we make it different kind of thing?
Oh,
I think that's
see.
probably what I could be completely wrong about that, but I think that's probably where they were going.
Well, and it's again, I just want to reiterate, like this was the 70s versus horror now, you know, very, very different things.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think this movie was scary. I wasn't interested in where they were going with the story. I like stuff would happen and I'd be like, okay, this movie is way more disturbing, but I don't think in really good ways.
No,
like,
I agree.
I think it's just kind of like disturbing for the sake of disturbing and gross for the sake of being gross.
Yeah, agreed.
There's a very graphic self-harm like point in the movie.
I don't remember.
It was
I don't know
like,
what you're talking about.
It was going between a bunch of cuts. Like, I think it was supposed to be a character's dream or something she was
I have
seeing.
no idea what you're talking about. I'm sorry.
There's a point. It's so you know when they like cut between a bunch of different things like rapidly.
Tell me what's happening. Like, tell me what's happening in the parts that are not the character harming.
The main character is just like seeing a bunch of weird stuff. It looks like she's having like a fever dream or something. And at one point, like you see an arm like covered in cuts.
Wow,
and, like,
I didn't
actively cutting.
I did not even see that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's
so like
crazy.
I don't know. It's just like that's what I mean. It's just it feels
that's
like
ridiculous. That makes me very upset. I don't like self-harm in movies.
Yeah,
like things like that. It's obviously I understand that sometimes it's essential for a movie or you know, but specifically like anything to do with like slicing is like
I don't know. Like personally, it doesn't bother me that much, but
I think it's so unnecessary, especially for a movie like this.
I would totally agree. For sure, unnecessary. Yeah. And that's kind of the theme of this movie. Everything about this movie is just unnecessary.
So unnecessary.
The movie was unnecessary. The movie didn't need to be made. Yeah. But they decided to make it, so they decided to do something different. They tried to explain more. They went into lore at the end. And it's just like unnecessary thing after unnecessary thing after unnecessary thing. And if you love this movie, like, I can see where you're coming from.
Totally understandable.
I like it. It is kind of its own aesthetic.
Yeah,
you know?
it
Like
is.
I get it if you're into it. It's just like if I could sum up this movie in one phrase, it would be it's not for me.
Yeah, for sure. I completely agree. Not for me either. But again, I completely understand where you're coming from if you like this movie. I mean, this movie has great reviews, and I was reading the reviews. On Letterboxd, it's like it has its highest star point is 4.
Averages 3. Oh, this is really interesting actually. So it averages a 3.8 on Letterboxd. The original averages a 4.0. The let's see, they both have. How do I see how many ratings it has?
On the side.
That's reviews,
isn't it? Oh, that's okay.
That's just reviews. So this 1977 has 71,000 4-star reviews, 47,000 5-star reviews. 2018 has 70,000 4 stars and 37 5 stars. So there's, which I believe it does have less. It also has 55,000 reviews, but that is that's people who actually go in and write a review, versus 77, which has only 47,000, which is kind of interesting. But so on the mainstream like review platforms, it is reviewed. It doesn't review near as well.
Okay, interesting.
Which I tend I think there's a balance. Letterboxd is the average review for it. I feel like I rarely see a movie under 3 and rarely see a movie over 4 kind of thing. Sure. They all kind of like live there, which does kind of make sense because it's averaging.
Yeah, true.
But Letterboxd is definitely movie buffs. Like people who are using that app are into movies. They watch a lot of movies, or they've been forced to by people like me.
That do, that watch a lot of movies.
But so 2018 has a 65% on Rotten Tomatoes, a 6.7 on IMDb, and 1977 has a 94% on Rotten Tomatoes and a 7.3 on IMDb. So at least by the mainstream review sites, it does review a lot better. But it's really interesting to look at it on Letterboxd. I guess that does kind of make sense though, because again, I can respect a lot of things about this movie. I give it a 3 because I feel like I don't think I can give it less than that, because it's still a really impressive movie. The acting is really good.
Oh yeah, for sure.
The dancing, major part of the movie, is super impressive. One of the things that or two big things that were missing in this movie compared to the original were it was not colorful.
Yeah, the visual was not.
I personally think was a good thing. I think if they
they repeated it,
if they tried to repeat that, it would have just looked like they were. It would have just looked like they were ripping it from the movie.
Yeah.
You know? And the music in this movie was pretty forgettable.
Yeah,
I don't really remember any.
I was gonna say I don't remember any music.
Yeah, right. I think they actually make a point. They never dance to music.
Yeah.
And so I think it is a very music. There's not a lot of music in the movie. But I think that's one of the best parts of the original. So they achieved what they were trying to do.
Yeah.
They were trying to make Suspiria different.
Yes.
And they did
do that.
I just don't think it needed to happen.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Because I was all excited too. I was like, and one of there's another podcast I listen to, and one of the hosts on there, Suspiria is like one of her favorite movies. She teaches a film class, and she always makes the students watch Suspiria because it's like a directing masterpiece, according to her, which I would agree with.
Yeah.
And she really likes the 2018 one also. But one of the things she said about it is she likes it because it was so different. And I do agree
understand
with that.
Yeah.
I think if they would have tried to just remake the 77 one, it probably would have
absolutely
failed. Because, naturally, they're not going to use the same script, right? They're not going to use the same music. They're going to try and redo all of these things. And to be honest, so this is something that happens in video games all the time. There's a old games get remastered.
Yeah.
And I mean, it does kind of happen with movies, but to my knowledge, not as much as it does with games. Mm-hmm. So they take an old beloved game and then they just give it better graphics but it's everything about the game is the same.
Yeah.
And then every now and then they'll do a remake where they rebuild the game from the ground up.
Right.
But it's the same story, it's the same voice acting, it's the same almost everything. And we just don't see that with movies, which I mean makes sense. Like I get it, but at the same time, I think that's part of the reason remakes are often so bad because you have a great movie like Suspiria, and how do you remake that?
Right, exactly. It's like, don't touch it.
Right, exactly.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it, you know?
And if you do what they did and make a totally different thing, that is probably where you're going to find the most success.
Oh, definitely.
But it's also like, it's not Suspiria.
Right.
Don't call this movie Suspiria.
Right, yes.
Like, rename all the characters.
It was interesting to me.
Tweak a thing here and there, and you have a different movie.
Because they used the word Suspirium, and I don't recall that being in the first one. And I was like, that's what, call it Suspirium instead. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I was like, that's interesting that they decided to add, because it's more of like the backstory telling. And
for instance, the name of the school is, I mean, it's a spoiler basically. So like, I don't really want to say it. But
just say it.
It's the name of, it's Helen Markoff Academy or whatever, which is not the name of the school in the other one, is it?
No, it's not. The name of the school in the other one is like literally Task or something like that.
Yeah, so like it's I don't know. They took some creative directions, which I just wasn't.
Yeah, sure.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Movie's not for me.
Yeah, me neither. I'll probably watch it again, to be honest, but I don't know. That would be just because I paid such little attention to it the first time I watched it, because I was just so uninterested with it. I think
it deserves a rewatch from me, just because I was super tired. I had to split it into two. I hate splitting movies into two. Yeah. I feel like I'm always doing them a disservice when I do that, because obviously that's not how they were intended.
Right. I don't care for it either.
It's just like, it's
just there.
That's
just a movie.
Like a really good way of saying it. You know, like, I feel like, and honestly, that's how I feel about a lot of the movies I give 3 stars. Because I mean, I try to somewhat be objective on rating how good of a movie I think it is. But of course, like, that is also affected by how much I liked it. And again, like, as I've said, I get it. I can respect it. But like, it's not for me. I'm going to give it like a 3, you know?
Yeah.
And that's a lot of 3-star movies for me. But I don't know. It's just, it's not. The original is amazing, and that will be in a semi-regular rotation.
Yeah, definitely.
And I might one day rewatch this.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm sure at some point we'll revisit some of these movies on the podcast.
Especially the 1977 version. We'll probably.
Yeah, definitely. We've talked about like reviewing decades. You know? So like when we do that, obviously that movie would come up. I would like to do an episode on remakes, one day. Yeah. So, I'm sure we'll revisit them again.
Yeah.
But
for now,
go watch the 1977 Suspiria.
Yeah.
And
maybe the 2018.
Absolutely nothing. Yeah. Absolutely nothing to do. Put on the 2018 one.
Yeah, might as well.
See what you think of it.
Yeah.
I think that's all we got.
Yeah, that's everything.
Scream is coming out soon.
True. 2 weeks. Is 2 weeks.
13 days from today, technically, because it comes out on Thursday. And I am so nervous and so excited.
I am too. I'm so nervous.
I'm so excited. Yeah. And I really hope they do a good job. At this point, they have my trust.
They do not have my trust.
I know. So a deep dive into Scream is the next episode, actually. Because 2 weeks. So watch Scream.
You better.
Now's the time to do it. There's 5 movies. Watch them all. Yeah. Get ready. And Thursday night, 2 weeks from now. I don't know what date that is.
I have no idea.
Look it up. That's what smartphones
Wait,
are for.
I thought it came out March 26th.
So, no, March 10th.
No, it's March 26th.
No, it's March 10th.
Look it up right now.
I literally saw it today.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it's March 10th. March 10th. Look at that.
What comes out March 26th?
A bunch of movies are coming out in March.
Then I'm probably thinking of a different movie.
A bunch of movies. Yeah. This is releasing against 65 million. which I'm kind of bummed about. I mean, it makes sense because they're two, like, if you're gonna go see 65 million, you're probably not gonna go see Scream and vice versa.
That's what I was gonna say.
But I'm gonna go see both. So,
okay,
I'm a little bummed they're releasing up against each other. But I mean, it says March 10th, but we get the early day loophole thing that you know, I wish they were doing a midnight release.
Oh my
Honestly,
gosh.
I miss midnight releases so much.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
I don't, because they're so impractical and like going to a movie at midnight and watching I mean, you're generally at a theater for 3 hours on average, you know, is like it's very impractical.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
With that said, I definitely
it's
miss
an experience.
Yeah, because those are when you get the fans.
Yes.
Like, you get a theater filled with just fans at the midnight releases, because the only people who are going to them are the like people who are passionate about the movies, you know. So
yes, absolutely.
It bums me out we don't get those anymore, but like for practicality, it is nice that we have like 15 showtimes on Thursday and can go see it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's definitely a lot easier to get tickets now than it was.
It is,
But midnight releases, we used to have to like line up outside the theater,
Oh
you
my
know,
gosh.
the day they'd go on sale to buy them.
Well, and I've even noticed people just don't really go to the theater anymore, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, COVID
killed it.
theaters for a lot of people.
Which is understandable. I mean, it's like close capacity with a bunch of people. You don't know where they've been. You don't know what germs they have.
Yeah, closing theaters for COVID was a very good idea.
So smart,
But yeah, I mean, I think they're starting to come back.
Yeah,
like I mean, obviously theaters are pushing for them.
Right.
But Regal went bankrupt.
Yeah, like, Regal was like, bye bye, and then they came back.
Purchased,
yeah.
So that they're back, but people are pushing for them. And then one thing that COVID produced is ads at movie theaters now. Before you would just see trailers before, but now they're showing ads because they just have to have another source of revenue. So I hope theaters come back and are just as popular as they were, because I love going to theaters.
Yeah.
I think it is one of the best ways to experience a movie. I think there's few movies that are better experienced outside of a theater.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Especially for like movies like 65 Million, which is Adam Driver versus dinosaurs. You know, you need to see that in a theater.
Yeah, definitely.
You know? But Scream. Yeah. Very excited. We'll do a deep dive into Scream next week. That is going to be a long episode.
It is going to be a long episode.
We'll make up for this one because this one's probably going to be a little shorter.
Yeah.
But, go watch Scream.
And Suspiria.
Get ready. Yeah.
Watch both. When you get if you get tired of Scream, probably around Scream 4, I would assume, you can watch Suspiria.
Okay, look. Scream 1.
Perfect movie.
Goated.
Wonderful.
Scream 2.
Good movie.
Really, really good. Scream 3.
Good movie.
Hot garbage.
Good movie.
Hot garbage.
But it's funny because it's so bad. It's funny.
4.
It's just bad. It's not bad funny. It's bad.
Yeah. It's bad. Like all around.
It's bad.
Yeah, it is.
Scream
3.
Are you joking with me? No, I said Scream 4.
No, Scream 3 is bad.
No, Scream 3 is funny bad.
Scream 4 is kind of a cult classic.
Scream 4 is bad.
It's becoming a cult classic.
Okay.
It was hated when it was released.
Yeah.
And people are coming around. Around. You've only seen it, what, twice?
Once?
Yeah. It'll come around.
I know.
I felt the same way about it.
I know.
And then Scream 5.
Bad.
Great.
Bad.
Scream 5 is so good.
I do not like Scream 5.
And we, as you can tell, we will have a lot to talk about next week because we disagree quite a bit on this franchise.
Yes,
and then hopefully we'll have really good things to say about Scream 6.
Yeah.
But until then, check us out on Patreon, TikTok, Instagram. We're all over the place.
Follow our Letterboxd account.
Yeah, follow us on Letterboxd. That's going to be the quickest way to get reviews. If you want to know what we think about Scream
and you
6,
get a little sneaky peek of what we've been watching.
Yep.
You can guess what our next episode's going to be about.
And drop a like, subscribe, hit that bell. Have a good weekend.
Slay the day. Goodbye.
Bye.
Slay.